Zetta Olinger, and I was born in Jackson, Kentucky, June the 6th, 1928.
Okay. And tell me about your parents.
Well, my parents was Candace Higgins and Herman Higgins. And my father, he operated the show in Jackson, the movie picture show in Jackson, Kentucky. And he also built houses, homes, and a lot of the buildings that him and Blaine Higgins and Porter are still standing.
All right. Awesome. What was it like growing up in Jackson?
Well, we had the children there, the families there was all mostly related. And everybody in Jackson owned their own homes. And we lived on this hill, and the houses that these black people lived in when I was little, the white people that bought these homes, and a lot of them are still standing.
Okay.
And a lot of the people moved to different places, in time of World War II. And a lot of people moved from Jackson to California, and to Dayton, and to Lexington, and to Atlanta.
Why do you think they moved?
Because of the jobs. It was better work. That's what they was trying to usually move.
So what kind of jobs did they have before World War II? What kind of jobs were they working?
Well, in Jackson's, Bob Wallace had the barbershop. And he had the barbershop for a long time. And he cut hair, and he cut really white people's hair. And then he cut our hair. Well, I was his neighbor, he was. So he would cut our hair after shop after he closed the shop.
Mm.
And
Okay.
people from Hazard would come to get their hair cut.
Okay. All right. Now, tell me about your quilting experience. When did you start quilting, and
Well,
what inspired you? Who inspired you?
okay. Well, my mother was a seamstress, and so she made all of my clothes. So what I did, I would draw the designs out, and she would cut the pattern out of a newspaper. And so then the sewing, once when I was at Boys Club, I made a skirt out of pieces, blocks, triangles, and blocks. And we won first prize here in Perry County, in Hazard, Kentucky.
Okay. Okay.
I did it, and we made jellies, and we belonged to Forage Club.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I always loved cooking, sewing. I always liked to work with my hands.
And was that at Liberty?
That was at Liberty.
Okay, Liberty High School?
At Liberty High School. Yeah, I moved when I was 14. We moved to Hazard, Kentucky.
Okay.
And I graduated from Liberty High.
Uh-huh. Okay. What was some of your experiences that you remember going to Liberty?
Well, we had a home ec teacher, and it was Miss Arnold. And she was really a wonderful. I guess she inspired me a lot about making clothes and sewing, and just social graces.
Mm-hmm.
And she was, I guess, even today, in cooking. And I know once I had one of the students that come by, and she said, I always loved to make rolls. So she said, well, where'd you learn to make rolls like this? I said, well, Miss Arnold. And she was surprised. But now I made these rolls from, I guess ever since I was, I guess about 19. And I'd always make rolls for the church. Mm-hmm. So we always had rolls at Town Mountain Church.
Okay. She used to do these in her basement.
Who did?
Mary Williams. And when Aunt Mary would do these, she would have the Charlie horse things there. She would stretch them, and then she would hand quilt with quilting batten, and put it in there herself. All hand, not a machine. I never saw a sewing machine. And look at the work, the angles
and the stitches.
The stitches are just beautiful. You just can't imagine hand
so many stitches in an inch.
Like this. And her work was amazing.
It was fantastic.
Now, Mother, I'll let you talk about this one because I don't know this one.
Well, this is Aunt Mary said she made this out of broadcloth cotton material that she had squares of. She didn't know what to do with them. So she said she would match all these different squares together and make a quilt out of them. And she invented this pattern.
Wow. And again, it's hand quilted.
Hand quilted.
Out of different blocks. So it's amazing what you can do with blocks and triangles.
Mom, this is geometry, right, Mom? It's all geometry.
This is Mary Williams made this. And this is handmade by hand, and it's quilted by hand. And quilting is a good therapy. And it's a good conversation piece, too.
Now, what is this pattern called?
And this pattern is a star. It's made out of squares and triangles. Like I said, all the quilts is made out of stars, as is triangles and squares. And one thing about a quilt, it is a picture, but it's a picture that you wrap up in and stay warm and cozy.
So, let's get to the quilting. You ready to show me some of your quilts?
Well, my quilting inspiration too was when I was a little girl. They had an Aunt Myrtle, and they would put up this quilting frame, and all these ladies would come and quilt, and they would share their patterns and the things that was happening in the community. It was really a social gathering, and I was really inspired by that too. And then my mother, she made quilts too, and she made quilts sometimes. I don't know if you ever, we call it tack quilts, and you would tack these quilts. They didn't use a quilting frame.
Okay. And what was your mother's name again?
It was Candace Higgins.
Okay. Okay.
What was her maiden name?
She was Catewood. Candace Catewood was her maiden name.
Okay. I'll write all that down in a little bit. Okay. So how old were you when you were watching those ladies around the quilt rack?
Oh, I was about 9 or 10.
Uh-huh.
I was about 9. And they would really try to inspire. They really took pride in their quilting. And they tried to inspire and encourage other people, other women to come and quilt.
Yeah.
And they would quilt this quilt now. They would quilt like this lady, she brought a quilt. They would quilt her quilt out. Then the next time they would quilt another lady's quilt out. So they would work together.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember some of the names of those ladies?
Yes, Myrtle Wheeler and Missy Lewis and Miss Dove.
Where did they meet? Did they meet in different people's houses? Or?
Yeah, they met at different people's houses.
Okay.
And they met with people that had the quilting frames too.
Mm-hmm.
They had quilting frames, and they'd put them up in their house in the ceiling some way.
Yeah.
And it was really inspiring. And they would make, now quilting was just squares and triangles.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'd be, the quilt that they make, this log cabin quilt. It's a classic quilt.
Mm-hmm.
And they would make it in different designs. You know, you could use it and make the designs, blocks in different angles and different shapes.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember any other quilting patterns that they used?
They used, like I said, they made it was I think it was Dutch boy and Dutch girl quilts, and they always made the wedding ring quilts, and they made like the 9 blocks or 8 blocks, made out of blocks, and you would arrange these blocks in different arrangements and have different designs. And once I worked for Kentucky River, we had, I was over the medicine there, but I taught social graces. And so then I had a lot of material here where I used to make all my clothes. So, in my daughter's clothes. And so I took it up there and we made the quilts. There was a young man, he made the quilt. I used my own pattern. And we made it out of, they say it's flying geese now, but I didn't know what it was then. I just made it up. And a lady came in, she said, "That's the flying geese," but I didn't know, I just made it up. And so we took it up to the library and we won first prize. And I have a picture of him, receiving the prize. He was very elated. He's really happy that he made that quilt. And his mother bought the quilt. And it taught us how to put the circles together.
And what is this one called?
Excuse me?
What is this one called?
I guess it's circles, made out of circles, she called it.
And you made this one?
I made this one. And I got one more I'll show you.
Okay.
Now this
blocks.
material is made up of dresses where I made my girls and my daughters, and different pieces of material. They had a dress out of every one of these squares.
Out of every one of these.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow. Beautiful. How long did it take you to make this?
Well, I made this. I guess it took me about 2 months. Really, it's made out of triangles, and I didn't know how to put it together. So I made the squares, the triangles, and then I put connected together. My son and I went to Berea, and they known for their quilts, and they said they didn't know anybody that made a flower garden lately. And the lady that they sent us to, she was out of town. So so David said, "Mother, so just make it out of use the same triangles." So that's what I did, and put it together.
So
I
this
made
is
this 50-some years ago.
how long?
50-some years ago.
Wow. And this is crochet.
Yeah, this is crochet. Made this when Millie was a baby.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And what I used to do, I'd put a pink sheet underneath it, or a blue sheet, and I'd have some curtains of some solid pink or blue, whatever I put underneath it. I would have it to match the
Curtains.
this quilt.
It's
Now,
beautiful.
it took me about 9 months to
Wow.
make this.
This is huge.
Yeah.
This is huge.
You see how the lining, I put the lining.
Oh, wow.
I wanted the black and white quilt.
I just love the kaleidoscope, so of course you can make so many.
This is what she gave her nieces. It was all not black and white, but kaleidoscope.
That is beautiful.
But it'll make her cozy and warm.
This is beautiful. Is that a certain pattern?
Yeah, this is I really don't know what the name of the pattern is. Because some quilts, I like to just make the pattern myself. So what I did, I made it in strips and connected together. See, it's octagon. You could say it's an octagon.
Okay.
It's made out of octagons.
And you made this one for?
I made this, when I visited my son about 3 weeks ago.
Who'd you make it for?
I made it for Sister Sadie. Sadie Luntz. Sadie Pray. My son married a lady, Mary, and we made quilts. I made about 30 quilts, and we gave these quilts to churches, to the senior citizens in Lexington. And the ladies so elated. One lady had tears in her eyes. She was so pleased. She said she'd never owned a quilt. And
Yeah.
I made quilts for all my children and my grandchildren, and then my nieces. And I gave them one Christmas. I gave them all quilts.
Oh, wow.
Log cabin quilt. That's what I was telling you about. That you could take the log cabin quilt and make it into so many beautiful quilts. It's really unique.
So when did you make this
It's
one?
a classic.
When did you make this one? When
Well, I
did you
made
make
this
it?
about 7 years ago. We went about 7 years ago. All I know is, it's about quilting that, like I said, that it brings a lot of thoughts, about back in the day when, people would make quilts and they would give them to their friends, to their family. And I appreciate greatly the quilts that loved ones, have gave me. And I really think that I think today we should try to inspire and encourage people to quilt and use their hands, crochet and embroidery. And quilters always try to inspire and encourage others to quilt. And I think we should try to keep that legacy going.
Did y'all have competition? Was that varsity?
Yeah, it was varsity.
Oh.
Now, how many's ready to see the work that y'all done?
Yeah! I think I have the best block.
I think I have the best block.
Well, you're
Y'all
gonna
be prepared to talk about your block.
best
He's gonna video it.
Look like
So
that
let's
clock.
go.
Come on.
So you come up here.
Okay.
You talk about your block. You gotta come up here. You have to point it out.
Okay.
I love that.
I've done this block, the
Okay.
mountains, because I chose the mountains because I was the first one Kay asked about, what you think about Appalachia, what do you think about? I said mountains. So I did the mountains and they turned out lovely, I think.
Yes, they did.
So
That's
that's
good.
Thank you.
Miss Katie, you wanna come over here?
I like them all, but I like this is the one that I helped make because my daddy was a coal miner, and so we had to go back in the mines when he come from work and dig coal out. So that's how we kept warm because we had to have coal in our coal stove, and so I can always remember my dad taking his lunchbox to work. He had to get up about 4 o'clock in the morning, and Mama would get up and get him off to work.
No.
All right.
That's a really good call, mine. I chose railroad because it's the shortest one, and I remember times when we used to walk over the railroad tracks to go to on the yards to church, and then after that, my dad used to work up Lothar to the carnival, so we used to catch the train and go up Lothar and for the carnival, and our parents be looking for us. We up there at Lothar at the carnival, so that's why I chose railroad.
Charlinda.
My quilt block is the log cabin. It's one of the traditional mountain quilts that people used to make. In the center of my quilt block is normally red in quilt blocks. And the reason that it's red, it means love and warmth in the family. And if you look really close on mine, it has X's and O's for hugs and kisses, and that's in the family.
Well, I'm not like Charlinda. I can't get down. Show you where. But mine is the schoolhouse, the Little Red Schoolhouse. The reason I chose the schoolhouse in Appalachia, I live on top of Town Mountain. And there's a one-room schoolhouse on top of Town Mountain where my relatives went to school. So in Appalachia, in that community, I thought they went grades 1 through 12, but it was 1 through 8. But just about all of my family, the Luntz family, my big mom and grandpa's children, Jim and May Luntz's children, went to that one-room schoolhouse on top of Town Mountain. So that's the reason I chose that one-room schoolhouse. Phyllis, you can go on the other side.
This one, the basket is mine.
I chose it because I like the crafts that we have in Appalachia, the basket making, and I like to crochet, so that's what the flowers were.
All right.
Does not stand
Oh, me.
Which one you choose? Miss Emily.
I contributed to this block. And I bet you there's soup beans in this pot. This segment is called Quilting and Cooking. And so I really like this block. It's done really well. I confess I just cooked. Quilting and Cooking.
It's still beautiful. So the rest of this, everybody's forgetting. They're leaving out the fact that they learned how to use the heat bonding.
Yeah.
So they learned they learned a new task by learning how to use the heat bonding to apply the designs.
Right.
So to make the blocks. So I'll tell you about the center block. Of course, this is the shape of Appalachia. That's the map of Appalachia. And I chose the camo design because of the forest and the woodsy, because that's Appalachia has a lot of forest and woodsy areas. But focusing on the wildlife of Appalachia, and also the immigrants, which you see the maps here. The immigrants who've come from all over Europe, and then but the first inhabitants, the first settlers were the Native Americans. So that's that block, and community. Appalachia has a lot of community. Everybody helps each other, and for the most part gets along really well. They come together when times are rough, and so community is a big thing. And for faith, we have a strong faith in Appalachia. No matter what your denomination is, it's strong. It's strong for you. So this is your stained glass windows for the church. Here we have dulcimer, the music, folk music, and instruments are a big part of Appalachia. Always have been. Gardening, and as Emily said, cooking. So these are the packs of seeds. So gardening has always been. And then this panel here is farming, kind of goes along with that, with the gardening and the cooking and the farming and everything. So it all kinds of comes together. Nothing looks like it flows, but it flows. So, and of course, this green here, all the border and the sashing, which is an Appalachian technique for quilting. This is kudzu. This is the kudzu that kind of grows in between everything and chokes everything out if you don't cut it up. So, and something we found out is you can actually cook and eat kudzu. So, but that is our Appalachian quilt.
Beautiful.
Good.